is serious business. Don't put your family's safety in the hands.
Check.
Call the pros at Dealer Electric.
Yes, that's on.
832-287-5340. 832-287-5340. That's Dealer Electric.
Houston, your voice is back. KCOH 1230 AM. Abershaw, Parasili, Michael Harris, Johnson, Rob Cooper, Tom Urban, and the truth. Music, songs, and so much more. 1230 The Source at 1230KCOH.com. Keep it hot every day.
What's going on, you guys? Happy Friday and all that. Happy Friday and all that. Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Tim? Tim Gaming? What's going on, 3Ts? What's up, Tom? What game you be playing, Tim Gaming? I gotta turn the music down some. They be banning my all my videos and stuff because when I turn the music, copyright infringement. You home for the weekend? That's good, man. You gonna hang out and just chill? I'm thinking about just staying home this weekend. But even when I stay home, I'm gonna get some work done. Orca ain't no need to. She fed up and she fed up and needs sympathy. Who? Oh, Oprah? You called her Oprah? Okay. Oprah just fed up. She said that she believes the women. She lived me too. Okra. I'm gonna do it like this. If I put I normally put like headphones on the mic because if I turn it up in the monitors, it go off when I turn on the mic, so you can't hear what's coming out the monitors. And I normally play like music under, but you're not gonna be able to hear it anyway. Not really gonna try to make a few more dollars tomorrow morning. Oh, okay, Tom. Gonna make that money then, man. I've been reading, if anybody wants to read a good book, I've been reading To Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell. It's a good book. Maybe YouTube will let this one just flow because I don't have no loud music. Hey, you guys, what's going on with Antonio Brown? Let me just ask, is it possible he got CTE? Is it possible? I hear a lot of people discount the possibility. I'm about to open. I don't know what I'm going to say yet, but here we go. Mm. ASAP, ASAP, ASAP. Houston, Texas, Houston, Texas. How are you doing? It is Friday. Of course, it is Friday. The day I like to say that we flex on Fridays. Put your biceps in the air and flex them like you just don't care. Got through another work week. Got through another work week. And for those of us out there that's going to go and make some money tomorrow, well, we flexing for you too. We flexing for the fact that you have the opportunity to go make some more paper. You got the opportunity to go do it, so we're gonna flex for you too. We're not gonna leave the flex out for those who have to, get up and do things tomorrow. But hey, you made it through the work week. Some of you got through, you're healthy, you get to look down at the dirt instead of looking up at the dirt. It's a good time for, some reflection, some thought. Every time you get to the end of the week like this is, in my opinion, it's a good time to just sit back and think about things and analyze things and put things in their proper perspective and celebrate a victory, because so many times it seems like we feel like we lose so much. Sometimes we feel like all we do is take losses, but sometimes we just need to look at the smaller things and also count them as victories too. And so it's Friday. We're going to flex on them. Yeah. We're going to flex on them. And look, we're going to talk about some things. It's Friday, so we're not going to get too heavy, but we're going to talk about, I guess, some entertainment type of things. And we're going to talk about, CTE a little bit, because we're going to talk about Antonio Brown. Look, don't get mad at me. Some people say, Tyrone, you're giving him an excuse for his shenanigans. But I'm not giving him an excuse for his shenanigans. I am just saying, is CTE a possibility? Is CTE a possibility? We are going to go over the timeline, and I'm going to play a little bit of video, and that's not it. We're going to talk about Oprah. Oprah says that she lived the Me Too experience and her own family didn't believe her. And so okay, I hear you. But does that mean that Russell Simmons is guilty? I do not know, but we're going to run that video just in case you didn't get a chance to hear it. We're going to play that. She sat down with Gail, and this is the thing about information and the way information is passed. Gail gets the inside scoop on everything Oprah. She gets the inside scoop, and not only on everything Oprah, other things that other information that she is privy to that other people aren't. Sometimes you got to look at who's getting the information and see what information that they're privy to, because everybody is not privy to the same information. And Gail she got that good information. She got that good information. I see you, Tony. What you say? I hope AB has something we could point to mentally or medically, okay, to who can shed some light on this behavior. And like I said, we're going to talk about it. And in fact, I'll get into the symptoms of CTE. And like I said, I'm not trying to say that I'm giving him an excuse. An excuse has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. It's not an excuse, huh? It's not an excuse. I'm not saying that he has never done nothing wrong, but that's not it. We're not only going to talk about those two things. There is a student not far from here in Houston, Texas, and they don't want to let him, they're going to let him graduate, but they're not going to let him walk unless he cuts his dreadlocks. Okay, now I know a lot of you guys have already heard about this story, and we're going to talk about the story, definitely going to talk about the story. I kind of held out for a reason, because I knew that it was something big, but I wanted to figure out how I wanted to approach it. as well as the Antonio Brown, what's going on with Antonio Brown. But with the dreadlock thing, I wanted to approach it in a slightly different manner. I want to ask a question. When is it time to stand up? When is it time to stand up? So I'm going to put that out there early just so it can marinate on your mind. And, I like to put it out there early because, I've heard different sides when it comes to the discussion. I've heard some people say, well, why would his mother and his father and, people in his circle tell him to go ahead and buck the system when all he has to do is cut his dreads and he could walk? And then there's other people that are saying, wait a minute, hold on, pump the brakes on all that. When is it time to stand up for what you feel is right? Do you always acquiesce to the status quo because that's what the status quo is saying? So that's the question on that. The question is, emphatically, the question is, when do you stand up? The phone number is 713-668-1230. 713-668-1230. I'm going to play a little quick. I'm going to do my DJ thing. I'm going to hop on the ones and twos and the threes and fours. And not just the ones and twos. I'm just going to press play. And I'm going to come back right after this, you guys. This is Soapbox Heroes. Make sure you tune in. Stay locked in right here. We got a lot to get into tonight. It's going to be fun. I'll be right back right after this. I hope AB has something we could point to medically that would shed some light on his behavior. Well, you know what? The thing is, I think AB already gets, he receives psychiatric help, so, but I don't know. And like I said, I hope so too, Tony. I don't want it to just be that he's just an eccentric guy. Hey, Betty Boos, how are you? Like, I wouldn't want to see it be as down. I mean, it does look like his downfall, but that's not necessarily what I hope for the guy. Nothing could discourage me. Oprah, Oprah, Oprah. Hey, Betty Boos, how was your day? Good evening. Good evening to you. Good evening to you. What all you guys eat for dinner? I'm hungry. I gotta go eat some dinner after this. I might go get some jerk chicken for the second day in a row. I can't play no music. Burger King. Ugh. Ugh. No, I'm just messing with you. Burger King is if you tell Burger King you want your burger flame broiled, then you get it. But you got to tell them you want it flame broiled. If you don't tell them that, it's not going to be what you want. Tony, you only eating starch. What? The Impossible Whopper. Oh, you don't. What's Friday? Why you don't cook on Fridays? Do you cook on Fridays, Tom? Should I not cook on Fridays? Well, I don't cook on Fridays because I'm not home. But I would cook on Fridays. I like to cook. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Oprah. Barbecue. Wait a minute. Who talking about barbecue? Peas and brown rice. Wait a minute. Y'all talking about food? As hungry as I am? Yeah, I might stop and give me some Jamaican food again. It's fresh. It's good. They be open when I leave. Hey, what y'all think? Y'all think Oprah wrong for seem like she just going after the brothers or what? This song is about to be done in a hot second. Man, Antonio Brown trainer too. How you getting arrested with the homie? Damn, AB. Yeah, the Oprah thing in the news. Is it today? You know what? To tell you the truth, lately I've been having a hard time keeping up with the news, trying to always be busy. Being busy is not always good for me, apparently. All right, I'm about to get started. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. This is Soapbox Heroes. Hey, you guys, look, like I said, we're going to talk about this Antonio Brown thing. We're going to go through the timeline, get to where we're at today, and I want to know, look, tomatoes at me. It is just a question. Is it possible that Antonio Brown suffers from CTE? Is it possible? Asking, is it a possibility? Because I've had people, they say, well, don't use CTE as an excuse for how he's acting. He don't got no CTE problem. And I always say, well, I say, if we're not an expert, can we just say for a fact that he does not have CTE? Now, I'm not saying that isn't coupled with maybe some other things, but again, I'm not an expert, so I can't just give no type of medical expertise. We're just kicking around some topics and some ideas, but I do see that people have this definitive conclusion that it is impossible that he has CTE. And I say, well, how do you get to that? Well, first, let's look at some things real quick. Let's look at some things. We'll take our time, all right? Symptoms of CTE: memory loss, confusion, impulsive or erratic behavior, bad judgment, aggression, depression, paranoia, and dementia. These conditions usually begin years, sometimes decades, after your last brain injury or when you stop playing. And so, okay, so right there, those are just the symptoms: memory loss, confusion, impulsive or erratic behavior, aggression, depression, paranoia, and dementia. And what I want to do, I want to go through and I want to look at a timeline with Antonio Brown, just this is like timeline to give us some clarity on when things started happening, or when they started being documented. Because, well, and I'll be honest, I have also heard people say, well, he's been doing things like this since he was a child. And so again, and like, I'm not a medical doctor, and I am not saying that he does or he doesn't. I'm just saying that I want to explore the possibility, because in my opinion, we're too easily saying, you know what, there's nothing wrong with him. He's just a spoiled brat. He's just a spoiled brat. Well, I understand spoiled brats, but even spoiled brats well, I'm not going to say always, but it seems like when millions of dollars or to the 20 of millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars are dangled in your face, and all you have to do is just be quiet for like 3 or 4 days. And he can't even, just stay off of the social media. Again, that impulse control, the impulse control. And remember, we read the side effects of CTE. And what I'm saying is, and I don't know if it would fall under paranoia or aggression or bad judgment or impulsive or erratic behavior or confusion, but to me, this is just me, you guys. It fits. It fits. And again, I'm not here trying to make excuses or make it for Antonio Brown. I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a doctor. All I'm saying is let's just simply look at this. So we're going to get to a timeline. We're going to get to a timeline and see what's going on. All right. And it starts in July of 2019. And if I'm not mistaken, that is not like literally the start of Antonio, run into some issues. But this is when the article starts. And so I guess it starts, and here, it's the Washington Times, just so I could give a little bit of clarity. And the title is Antonio Brown Turns Himself In, Timeline of His Controversies and Legal Troubles. Okay. So we're going to go down here and we're going to start the timeline. And actually March 10th, 2019. Not long after Brown publicly requested a trade, the Steelers dealt him to Oakland for draft picks when the team officially introduced him 3 days later. Brown answered one question by saying, "I bring accountability. I bring actions. Not what I say, what I do, how I approach things." Okay, and that's what he said on March 10th. And then in July 2019, Brown reported to the Raiders training camp unable to practice because frostbite on both of his feet. It later revealed that he suffered the frostbite because he didn't wear proper footwear in the cryotherapy machine in France earlier that month. Though a bizarre headline grabber at the time, it was quickly overshadowed by events that followed. So in November, he went out to France and go out to France, the Eiffel Tower, and chez beaucoup abattoir. He goes out to France and he tries to do some stuff with his feet, and he gets into a cryotherapy machine, frostbite, because he didn't want to wear the proper footwear. All right. And then August 2019, Brown threatened to retire from the NFL because the league banned his preferred model of helmet, a Schultz Air Advantage. The 10-year-old model was no longer certified as safe for the game's action. Brown filed a grievance, lost a second grievance, and lost again. Raiders general manager Mike Mayock said on August 18th, this was time for Brown to either be in or all out. All right. And so that's when his coach say, hey, B, hey, you're going to have to decide whether you're going to be in or out. And AB said that he wanted to be out. He no longer wanted to be in. And let me see. I got another timeline. That was only half a timeline. That was only half a timeline. And in fact, this timeline right here, it starts in January. And this is from CBS Sports. It says January 2017, Facebook Live debate. It was supposed to be a grand time in the city of Pittsburgh after Brown caught 6 passes for 108 yards. He pushed the Steelers past the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC divisional round in an 18-16 nail-biter. Instead, the story became what happened next in the locker room following the win. Brown pulled out his phone and live streamed the locker room celebration on Facebook in violation of league policy. That was also done in spite of Ben Roethlisberger asking Brown to lay low a bit on social media. In his decision to do the opposite, shine a light on his head coach Mike Tomlin, hurling at least one sharp expletive around about the next opponent to come, the New England Patriots, in the AFC Conference Championship, for which he issued a formal apology via press conference. And so Ben Roethlisberger asked him, he said, "Hey man, calm down on the social media." AB say, "Can't do that." "Why not?" "I'm not doing it." Look, and in late July 2017, everything's fine. Just 1 week later, the Steelers took action. Brown was reportedly fined $10,000 by the team for streaming Pittsburgh locker room celebration. As first reported by Jay Glazer, Tomlin informed players during the team meeting this week that he was fining Brown. Tomlin disciplined Brown, but the matter was made worse when it was discovered Facebook had paid Brown $244,000 at the start of the 2017 season to create content for them, and also his fall from grace and in Pittsburgh. See, look, you guys, and see, that's something that I didn't know. Did you hear that, Tony? You hear that, Betty Boos? You guys hear that there? Look, that's very important. Facebook paid Antonio Brown $244,000 at the start of the 2017 to create content for him. And so, and also his fall from grace from Pittsburgh began. So Facebook started giving Antonio Brown money to basically record himself acting a fool. And so a lot of the time when we see these things, I don't think we take into account that these social media providers, they actually pay for this content. Some of the things that we see, we might think is genuine, but what do they call it? Fronting for the gram. They're fronting for the gram. They're doing what they have to do to get the money. And so, us average Joes, we do things and we post things for free. I don't think we realize that, there isn't anything free. If it's for free, you are the product. And so they sell our information, but they're paying celebrities to do certain things. And I always tell people, watch out for what you see on these social media sites and don't believe everything you say. I know this is a little sidebar, but I had to run over here real quick because that headline just actually reached out and grabbed me. It's one of those things of confirmation again. It made matters worse when the team discovered Facebook had paid Brown $244,000 at the start of the 2017 season to create content for them. And so Facebook gave him $244,000 to start acting a fool. All right. December 18th, we talking about practice. All right. Not yet eliminated from playoff contentions and still in the runnings for the AFC North crown, heading into their Week 16 battle with the New Orleans Saints. The Steelers had defeated the rival Patriots 1 week prior and felt good about finishing the season strong and carrying the momentum into the postseason. Okay, let me get to it. They giving stats. A heated dispute with Roethlisberger during a Wednesday walkthrough escalated to the point to where Brown threw a football at the quarterback, and the wideout opted to skip the remaining practices leading up to the team's 17th week of battle with the Cincinnati Bengals. So he got into it with Ben Roethlisberger, and he threw a ball at him. Now, that's football stuff. That happens in football. Teams squabble. That happens all the time. So that's nothing new. But him deciding to miss the rest of the practices, he said, "Hey, I don't like what Ben Roethlisberger have going on. So I'm out of here. Then let's see. Then you go to February, the anti-Valentine, 2 days ahead of February 14th. Brown took to his beloved social media account to both thank the Steelers fandom and proclaimed it was time to move on. Wow. It's a sentiment the organization itself mirrored to agree, but it had enough motivation to attempt to repair the relationship. But after all, Brown was still under contract for 3 more years and coming off of a 1,297-yard season. But the damage had already been done, and no amount of Fix-A-Flat was going to reinflate that tire. So basically, AB took to social media and said, "I want out of here. I the Steelers. I no longer want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler." And again, and see, they put this in the article as kind of the unwinding of AB. You know, it's like he have on a silk jacket and somebody pulled a string and he started running forward. But to me, I'll be honest with you, teams often they'll let a player know, and the player will find out on social media or on ESPN or from their agents. The owners and the teams do not always take the time out to say, you know what, I like this guy so much, I'm going to invite him over for dinner and explain to him why we are trading him, releasing him, or letting him go. So AB going to social media, you know, hey, sometimes people handle things different. But again, this is what they are calling the unwinding of AB. And I'm going to be honest, there are some things that are troubling. But again, the question is it a possibility that he suffers from CTE? Is it a possibility? Because again, I've heard plenty of people tell me it's not possible. And while we're reading this, I want you to remember the symptoms: memory loss, confusion, impulsive or erratic behavior, bad judgment, aggression, depression, paranoia, and dementia. And so there's a lot of people out there that'll say, well, that doesn't, that just sounds like a big excuse. That sounds like an excuse to just let him be a fool. But we got to be honest that these things happen and people do suffer from this. Junior Seau, if you don't know who Junior Seau is, take a second to look him up. Not right now, but when we get done. March 19th, for whom the bell tolls. The Browns' decision was difficult to call. It was difficult to call. Made that much of the challenge by the holdout All-Pro running back Le'Veon Bell, who the team also locked into a battle with. Ultimately, they opted out and not to place a transition tag on Bell, allowing him to walk in free agency, following swallowing their pride and being the task of looking for suitors for Brown. All right. And so then they go to March. And let me see. AB says in March, I don't even have to play football if I don't want to. So AB just comes out and says, he's thinking about retiring. All right. And then in March, AB again. So he was sent to the Raiders for a 3rd and a 5th round pick to the Steelers in exchange for Brown only days after his questionable football commitment comment, and what should have been a fresh start rapidly becomes a bag of rotten fruit. And so a couple days after he says, I don't even know if I want to play football anymore, then another team goes out and gets him. And so, and that's what I mean. And so they're saying all these things are, are his meltdown. And this is a very lengthy article. And so I'm going to skip down a little bit more. And then it says, early in September, the confrontation. To come back full circle to the initial question in the timeline, what? As the Raiders prepared to take on a different Broncos in the regular season opener, things had mostly fallen quiet on Antonio Brown. Okay. The wideout had finally located a helmet that he could tolerate. Albright made him a custom one, and his once forbidden feet were seemingly to not be of a nuisance at this point. There would be a science that was shattered in a moment's notice. However, with Adam Schiff of ESPN reporting, Brown got into it with Mayock in a disagreement that could lead to the team suspending the All-Pro wideout for conduct detrimental to the team. Okay, and so in October, he ends up getting into it with the general manager of the Raiders. And he calls him all kind of names and this, that, and the third. And then look, and I'm going to fast forward a little bit myself. And then he goes to the Patriots. And then he gets not one, but there's 2 claims of sexual assault on on Antonio Brown, and then they let him go. They finally let him go, and ever since then, he has been out of the NFL. He has been out of the NFL. And I had to skip past the rest of that article, you guys, because that article would take me another 35 minutes to go all the way through. But Antonio Brown is kind of complex. And so I did want to I wanted to give a proper lead up to it. I didn't want to just dive into the Antonio Brown story without giving it the fair lead up that it's due. And also, I don't want to talk about him in a fashion to where, you know, and look, it may sound crazy, but I don't want to seem like I'm just outright slamming the guy. To be honest with you, I think that he has some things going on. And so when I do see people just saying, well, he's just a bad person, or just putting him down, like, I get it. I understand your reasoning for that thought process. But all I'm saying, if he does have a problem, I don't necessarily want it to be, you know, to be his fault. But saying all that, I'm going to have to let you know where we are now with AB. So this happened. I saw this today. What story is that? I got 10 stories going on. That's not the right story. We're going to go over here to this AB story. And we're going to get to where we are today with Antonio Brown. Well, in the saga of Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown faced a judge this morning after he turned himself in. CBS 4 News was the only clue there as Brown walked into the Broward County Jail last night. Police issued a warrant for his arrest following an incident with a delivery driver at his Hollywood home this week. Now he's facing serious criminal charges. CBS 4's Ted Stack is live at the jail in Fort Lauderdale with more on what happened during his.
Hi, Mom. His representative said that he has a target on his back and he's misunderstood. I'm going to be honest. I think that's a bit of the problem going on with Antonio Brown is that, okay, let's say if he doesn't have anything wrong with him, to say that he has a target on his back and he's misunderstood, that is a very weak defense, or that is something that I think is very weak to keep feeding him, because it seems like it keeps perpetuating this behavior. But let me play the rest.
Altercation with a moving truck driver who was delivering items to his Hollywood mansion. The driver suffered scratches. Prosecutors asked the judge to hold Brown with no bond.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to hold someone no bond because someone has scratches because someone allegedly went inside a vehicle that was a moving company that wouldn't return goods.
It is clear from the evidence that Mr. Brown's intent upon entering that cabin was to physically attack the victim, because as the evidence states, that's immediately what he did upon entering the cabin. That another individual had to pull him off the victim, or it would have continued.
Prosecutors that Brown would leave and said he has mental health issues and several recent run-ins with police.
Hollywood police have been called to his home approximately 18 times since December. There's escalating issues, even recent issues of hostility towards law enforcement, towards family.
I don't think there's any mental health issues with him. Antonio Brown's life right now is a reality show. That's what it is. He is misinterpreted and misunderstood.
Bond on count.
Now, mind you, that is his representation that is saying he don't have mental issues right now. Now, I'll be honest with you. If I was Antonio Brown, I would be ready to fire this guy, because even if he don't have any mental issues, that is something that he should be trying to argue, because otherwise none of this makes any sense. Tony said it earlier. He says, I hope there is something medically wrong with him that is causing him to act like that. But then his lawyer gets out there. Now, remember, you guys, his agent quit on him a couple of days ago earlier this week. But his lawyer wants to get out there and says, well, he doesn't, there's nothing wrong with him mentally.
I don't think there's any mental health issues with him. Antonio Brown's life right now is a reality show. That's what it is. He is misinterpreted and misunderstood.
Now he has legal issues and he is in court. And his own lawyer is saying that his life is a reality show. Now, why would you say that? Because if he's causing it to be a show, you are basically saying, hey, this is his fault. And and again, you guys, I'm not saying that it's not, but what I'm saying is, what kind of lawyer did you decide to get, Antonio Brown?
Bond on count one will be set at $100,000.
In the end, the judge granted bond, meaning at some point, Brown will be able to go home, but then he'll be under house arrest.
So he was granted bail, and I think it was over $111,000 or something close to that number, something like that. And he will be able to go home, and like they said, he's going to be on house arrest. And so Antonio Brown at home on house arrest with the type of advice that he is getting from his friends, from his lawyer. And remember, you guys, just a couple weeks ago, Antonio Brown, he got into it with the mother of his children right outside of his home, and he threw a bag of something at her. And again, I would encourage you guys to go look up what was in the bag he threw yourself, because I don't want to put that out there. I can't say it, and I don't want to try to come up with enough descriptive words for you to understand. But Antonio Brown threw something very specific in a bag at the mother of his child. Now, there's something else that I want you guys to hear as well, and I thought this was rather important. And I'm gonna play the clip just so you can hear it, and I'll point it out, see if you catch it too. And this is Antonio Brown being released after his bail. So just listen tight, just listen close, and see if you catch it.
Mr. Brown, do you want to say something?
At this point in time, I've advised Antonio not to say anything, but we'll be speaking.
That way. Go to the right, Antonio.
See, he came out of the courtroom and he just started like jogging, and I'm talking about Antonio Brown. And he has on like this line. It's not even a line, it's like a pale green suit. And he starts running down the stairs, and he starts running to the left, and they telling him, hey, Antonio, we parked the other way. So he's running somewhere and he don't even know where he's going.
No, you're running the wrong way.
And now he's walking back. And see, you hear. All right, now listen. Now listen, that right there. Antonio Brown done ran the wrong way. He ran the wrong way. And this guy is telling him where the car is. Now, this is his representative. Now, listen to what he tells his representative.
We're over here, Antonio. Come on. Go get the car, bro. All right, you got it. Okay.
He says, nah, just go get the car. I don't need you to tell me what to do. Just go get the car. And then he says, all right, I got it. Okay, I got, like there was nothing that this guy doesn't demand any respect for himself. Listen, just listen.
Go get the car, bro. All right, you got it. Okay.
Go get the car. I don't need you to tell me what to do, everything to do. Just go get the car. He said, all right, you got it. He tells him again, get in the car, bruh. I don't need you acting like my chaperone. Just get in the car.
Any statement? It's been a strange.
Get in the car, bro. I don't need you acting like my chaperone. Get in the car.
Anything you'd like to say? It's been a strange.
Get in the car, bro. I don't need you acting like my chaperone. Get in the car.
Anything you'd like to say to fans here in South Florida about the week you had?
The accusation is that you had an altercation with the driver.
Gentlemen,
All right, you guys, and to point out twice when his representative or his lawyer is trying to, one time he's just trying to guide him and tell him where the car is, and Antonio Brown, I don't need you telling me what to do. Then he tells him again, I don't need no chaperone. And so this is where it gets hard. How do you help somebody who don't want help? It seems like Antonio Brown don't want any help. And at the same time, do you continue to work for someone who feels as if they feel it's necessary to just talk to you like you're a child? To talk to you like a child here, just go get the car. Just go get the car. And so it is the problem. Could part of the problem be that he has a bunch of spineless people around him? And I'm just asking, could a bunch of spineless people in his corner? And that's not it. I also want to play for you guys this.
And right now, an associate of Antonio Brown is facing charges today after the troubled NFL star had another run-in with police. Local 10 News reporter Madeline Bright is live. She's in Fort Lauderdale, where Brown's trainer went before the judge earlier today. Madeline?
Yes, his trainer.
Good afternoon, Christy. Glenn Holt appeared before a judge via a video conferencing system while he was still locked up here at the main jail in Broward County. He's expected to bond out sometime today. He's one of two suspects in a battery case out of Hollywood. The other suspect is Antonio Brown, but police haven't arrested him because they haven't been able to locate him.
Yes, ma'am.
35-year-old Glenn Holt appeared before a judge in bond court this morning. He was arrested for a violent incident at the house of his client, former Patriots wide receiver Antonio Brown.
Here before the court this morning on one count of burglary with assault or battery.
Holt is Brown's trainer. Police say the two men beat up on call around 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Sky 10 video shows crime scene technicians photographing the victim's stomach. He's believed to be the driver of an Allied Vans line moving truck, which was parked outside Brown's mansion on Estate Oak Circle in the gated Hollywood Oaks community.
The police report alleges that there was a disagreement about movers and some items belonging to Antonio Brown, and then the charge that followed and led to my client's arrest regarding the keys to the truck and an argument over possession of those keys.
Initially, Holt was being held on no bond, but the judge changed his bond to $20,000 because of an agreement worked out between prosecutors and the defense. She also ordered him not to have any contact with the alleged victim.
Wait a minute. Did I hear what I think I just heard? Did they say that they lowered his bail because they made a deal between him and the prosecutors? This is over some keys? Really? Come on. Did I just hear that? Let me play that again.
It worked out between prosecutors and the defense. Bond. But the judge changed his bond to $20,000 because of an agreement worked out between prosecutors and the defense. She also ordered him not to have any contact with the alleged victim.
I'm glad the state attorney's office was reasonable here and agreed to a bond that my client can afford. This is a serious charge, but these allegations are way overblown.
Now, although...
All right, you guys. Now, this is my thing. All right, so we have this, right? Then we have him getting into it with the mother of his child. And then, and look, and when he got into it with the mother of his child, he had people recording it. People were filming it. He was cursing around. He was saying all sorts of stuff. He would, and like I said, he said, she's here for the Bentley. Tell she don't drive no Bentley. He was getting aggressive with the police. I'm gonna be honest, he was getting aggressive, but his friends were recording it. Right now, this incident happened with this trainer. What about your friends, AB? It sounds to me like AB friends in the world, but they probably pretend to be the best friends in the world. But that in there is where the problem lies, my friend. That's where the problem lies, my friend, because who is going to be accountable in the situation? I mean, come on, guys. If you guys are hanging around him for money, he's the one bringing in the money. So at least be smart enough to protect your asset. At least be smart. Come on. What about your friends? We got a caller on the line. This is Soapbox Heroes. What's on your mind? Oh, no, we don't. We got the Marriott Hotel, and I'm not choosing you. So what is on his mind? Well, his friends. It seems like, and again, this is not me taking any onus off of AB himself. And I'm not doing that. But again, I am wondering if he has a touch of CTE. But my question is, what about your friends? What, that TLC song? Are they going to stand their ground? Are they going to be around? I saw a show the other day, and I saw a clip, and I forget the show it was, but it was a sports show. We're talking about who is responsible for the downfall of Antonio Brown. And some of them were saying, I placed this on the Steelers. I put it on Mike Tomlin, the Steelers organization, and I just couldn't understand it. And some of them said, you know what, we put this squarely on Antonio Brown. And again, okay, so whatever Antonio Brown part in it, he has to take. But my real question again is, what about your friends, AB? What about your friends? They're standing there and they're watching you make an idiot of yourself. Now, mind you, some of the things that he's done, I think, okay, him going on Twitter or Instagram or whatever social media site he went on to say that he wanted to no longer be a Steeler. I understand that is something that, the NFL may not have liked, but the NFL has done things very, very similar when it comes to the shoe being on the other foot. They'll let somebody go and they'll find out through other means of news besides hearing it from their employer. So they might not even hear it from their employer. So him going out there and say, I want to be traded, a lot of guys now are using social media as leverage. And so I recognize when it's being used as leverage. And so I can't really say nothing about him using it for leverage, because to me, that's what he did. He used it for leverage. And as we see, he ended up getting what he wanted numerous times. And so when it comes to AB, that's why I wanted to start at the beginning and kind of come on through it. And now I'm going to ask the question again. Is it possible that AB has some touches of CTE? Could it be possible? And because, again, I see a lot of people just hold it out as if it's a impossibility. But again, you guys remember, it's memory loss, confusion, impulsive or erratic behavior, bad judgment, aggression, depression, paranoia, and dementia. Dementia. Look, Antonio Brown will talk his way out of $20 million. Now, I get it. I know a lot of eccentric people. I know people that just, they might feel you're better than everybody. People who just feel like they're on top of the world, can't be touched. But it's very rare that those people literally talk themselves out of $27 million 2 days or 4 days before they're going to get it. It also goes to another team after that who is also willing to pay you and you almost just as much, if not more, after incentives. And you messed that up too. All you had to do was not go on social media, but you still did. So again, to the question I heard, I think it was the show with Jason Whitlock and the other guys. I forget the name of the show, but they were asking who is at fault. And a lot of them were saying the Steelers, because the Steelers let it go on. And mind you, the Steelers probably did enable him as a player. Often this is the NFL. This is a business. The NFL is a business. Sometimes people get so personally invested in it to where you forget that it's a business. So yes, the NFL as a business, not just the Steelers, they will let you do, and I'm not going to say everybody, but there's a lot of teams that will let you do any and everything you want to do as long as you're producing, as long as you are the man. And so I get it. So if you want to put some of the blame on the Steelers, handle it. That's up to you. But what I'm saying is, what about the people who are supposed to care about you? And see, and that's where people make the mistake. They all of a sudden think because a player is on a team that the team cares about that person. I got news. They don't care about you as a person. They don't care about them as a person. They care about your production. Now, as far as doing good business, I have to make you feel like I care about you. But if that's the case, why didn't anybody get Josh Gordon any serious help? He kept getting put on team after team after team, but he still obviously has some of the same problems. So instead of, getting the proper help, and if the help can't be done, say, hey, maybe we're going to have to pull out until you help yourself. But I do know that money is power and money is access. And so if you keep giving somebody that in their downward spiral, where are your friends that are going to step in now? I played the clip earlier where his representation was trying to tell him where the car was. He said, AB took out, he ran out the court and ran the wrong way. Representation said, AB, the car is that way. AB was like, hey, don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do. I got this. And then he tried to tell him again. He said, he tried to wave him on, and Antonio Brown said, I don't need you to tell me what to do. So I understand. It is very possible that he could be very difficult to talk to or to deal with or to work with again. His agent left. And my question also is, how much did the agent enable him? I mean, it got to the point to where you're just now leaving last week. I mean, Antonio Brown has been through a lot. And I don't know, did the agent leave? And these are just questions. Did the agent decide to leave because it looks like the money is drying up? Because Antonio Brown been kind of acting up, right? And so does it take it to the point to where the money start drying up? Because I don't know if Antonio Brown's going to be able to get endorsements. And look, and there's something very interesting. If you guys are just tuning in, we read an article earlier when it was talking about Antonio Brown, and it said that Facebook paid Antonio Brown $277 to make them content, basically record himself acting a fool. Content, because we all know that good content nowadays is acting a fool. What is considered good content? If they're going to pay you $277,000, I guarantee you they would not pay AB $277,000 if he was talking about building schools and doing community service and voting. Okay, it's the sensationalism. So they gave him $277,000. I just had to reiterate that point for anybody just tuning in, because it's important. It's important to me just to see the way that things work. Okay, the way that they work. And again, the question started off is, does Antonio Brown have CTE? Is this a possibility? Again, I keep hearing people say it is impossible. But I don't know how you can consider it as an impossibility. And in fact, now this is just anecdotal. This is just me talking out loud. I can't say I know for sure, but if the NFL had a good inclination or can make a good educated guess that a player suffered from CTE, I think they would try to stretch his career as long as possible if he is the best at that position. If he is one of the best in the league, and if he is making waves and helping the team win, I think they would just try to sustain his health enough to get by. And so I'm not saying, that the players don't have anything to do with it, because once you start feeling things, it's a risk. It's a risk. And we all know it's a risk, but we have to, sometimes we get caught up in thinking that the owners really, really just like the players. And so, they might have some good friendships, but it's business, you guys. It's business. And so again, do you guys think it's possible that AB has CTE? Hey, you guys, my name is Tyrone Irvin. Take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to shift gears. This is Soapbox Heroes. We'll be right back right after this. Oh, I got to turn that down. Yeah, he bonded out and went to go run a route. His lawyers called a screen pass, though. Nah, they're not on the same page, Tom. That's dangerous, though, man. That's dangerous. This young cat, I'll be honest, man, I don't really want to